Let's talk education. It's 15 minutes of information about the policies, programs, and activities of our schools and the Ministry of Education. Join us and let's talk education.
Good day, viewers. Welcome to Let's Talk Education. I'm your host, Patricia Evans. Today on Let's Talk Education, our special guest is Miss Samantha Charles, Tourism Officer in the Ministry of Tourism, Heritage and Creative Industries, responsible for awareness. Welcome, Mrs. Charles.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. It's a pleasure to be here.
Ms. Charles, as the Tourism Officer for Education, what does your work involve?
Okay, first off, let me just give a brief intro into the ministry's mandate as it pertains to education and awareness. What the ministry strives to do is to allow persons in the wider communities, not only the schools, the opportunity to gain information, insight into the importance of the tourism industry, the role that each and every one of us can play in the industry. From as young as the tender age of 5, we would like to see a wider acceptance and appreciation of the value that the tourism industry has as it pertains to St. Lucia in terms of economic development, environmental linkages formed, etc. So at the ministry, this is some of what we aim to work towards specifically as part of our awareness mandate.
That is quite good. What is tourism education, and why is there a need for tourism education?
Okay, tourism education is important on many levels, and let me add the awareness aspect into it also now. Education on any sphere is important. It is the only way that people can understand the importance of anything that we value as a country. In order to understand, you have to bring the message out there. So tourism education means providing the facts about the industry, thereby dispelling the myths associated, allowing people to see the industry as one, not of only servitude, but how can I contribute to the further development of the industry? How does small things such as littering and your attitude impact on the continued growth of the industry?
Yes.
How do we treat our visitors when they come to the island? Excuse me. How do we treat each other? How are we portrayed on the regional and international front? So all of these things encompass the aspect of tourism education, and moving forward, it plays a critical role in the sustainability of our industry.
And hence, that is why it's important that from a tender age, our students get involved in making sure that they understand the vitality of tourism, and to make sure that they are aware of how tourism can benefit the economy as well.
Exactly. It's not only when the individual gets to a certain age, tertiary education or the world of work, that you provide the information as to the contribution they can make. The little ones, like I mentioned, learn about the environment, keeping our country clean, greeting visitors with a smile, maintaining our environment. All these little things contribute to the grand picture of keeping our tourism industry going.
Very good, Ms. Charles. What are the various educational initiatives undertaken by the Ministry of Tourism, especially with regards to education?
Okay. At the ministry, our main education initiative would be the annual tourism public speaking competition. This is where we allow students, specifically aged 14 to 17, opportunities to speak their mind on the industry. They're allowed the opportunity to research the industry, research the critical components, and provide feasible suggestions as to ways of ensuring that the industry remains a vibrant and growth-dependent one, so to speak. So the competition is our main initiative, and there are others not initiated by the ministry, but by regional tourism stakeholders such as the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association. So we have the essay and poster competition from FCC, which students can also be part of.
And that is good. Quite a bit of exposure for our students. Can you highlight instances where tourism education has benefited our students and their schools?
Okay. Going back to the point of the public speaking, with that initiative, the students get exposure as well as the schools, excuse me. I can give 2 examples of our previous junior ministers that have gotten opportunities to speak on platforms where the ministry hosted Tourism Week. They were allowed to speak from a youth perspective on tourism issues, what it is they think that young people can contribute to the sustained growth of the industry, areas they think that stakeholders can implement, changes they think that can be made to diversify the tourism product. We've had junior ministers give very sound and creative ways of making our tourism product interesting so that visitors continue to come back to our shores. We also have our junior ministers who've done exceedingly well at the regional competition. St. Lucia has placed 2nd for 2 consecutive years.
Yes, brilliantly.
And this year we're hoping to capture 1st place. So this initiative is one that has many benefits. And we're hoping that with more participation, more students and more schools can get the opportunity to be proud of their representatives moving forward.
Viewers, we are about to take a short break. You're watching Let's Talk Education with our special guest, Ms. Samantha Charles, Tourism Officer in the Ministry of Tourism, Heritage and Creative Industry, responsible for awareness. We'll be right back.
Let's Talk Education. It's 15 minutes of information about the policies, programs, and activities of our schools and the Ministry of Education. Join us and let's talk education.
Welcome back, viewers. You are watching Let's Talk Education with our special guest, Ms. Samantha Charles, Tourism Officer in the Ministry of Tourism, Heritage and Creative Industries, responsible for awareness. Mrs. Charles, thank you for all the questions you've answered thus far.
Welcome.
And we are continuing. What role does the private sector play in tourism education with regard to the National Tourism Public Speaking Competition?
Okay, the private sector has been extremely generous in sponsoring the Tourism Public Speaking Competition. Our premier sponsor has been Digicel St. Lucia for 3 consecutive years.
That is good.
They sponsored the 1st place prize, obviously, and they also went further last year to finance the junior minister's trip to St. Thomas for the regional competition. In addition to Digicel, we have other corporate sponsors such as Lucia, SLASPA, ECFH, we have Unicoma, Court St. Lucia Limited, and a host of others. In addition to that, there are a number of hotel properties on the island also recognizing the value of the competition and the important role that students, young persons can play in the growth of the industry through their individual contributions. So we have hotels also who sponsor the competition on a yearly basis, and for this the ministry is extremely grateful and appreciate their high level of sponsorship.
So they're really supporting this initiative?
Yes, they do. What we also do, is acknowledge the hard work of the teachers as well, because the students are not the ones most times doing the research on their own, putting their delivery together. We have a number of teachers who assist their students, and so we also acknowledge them through the provision of prizes.
That is good, because teachers do work hard.
Yes, they do.
I can speak from
yes,
experience. Is there already acceptance by the teachers for tourism education? And based on what you said, it appears that they are encouraging their students, and by that means that they're really accepting that type of initiative.
Yes. In dialogue with a number of schools, specifically the teachers, I got the impression that there is a high level of appreciation for the need for tourism awareness and education amongst the school population, where it pertains to feeding the students with the information necessary to make critical decisions as to career choices. That is really important, and also to allow them to think and assess the industry, based on the information that is provided. So I can say that on the school's part, generally there is an acceptance of the need for tourism awareness and education in schools.
Very good. This is our last question to you. Explain to us your long-term vision regarding tourism education. When you look at it through the schools, from a school perspective, or just the education aspect of it with respects to schooling.
Okay, long-term vision on a personal level, and that speaking on behalf of the Ministry of Tourism, what we would like to see is a greater level of initiatives whereby students are privy to the information with respect to the industry. We would like to see regular lectures at schools, which would involve resource persons in marketing, food and beverage, management, and other areas of the industry, not just the hotels, but the other sectors that support the industry. So we'd like to see a high level of lectures and talks at the schools so that students can get the information from the resource persons themselves in order to make, as I indicated earlier, their decisions. We would also like to see for education on a wider scale, communities embracing the industry, individuals understanding that they too can play a role in the industry's growth through whatever means. If you a craftsperson, you a seamstress, you love to cook, you love to sing, you love to dance. Almost everything that we do as a society, as an individual, can in some way impact the tourism industry positively. You know, visitors come to our island not just to experience sun, sea, and sand. That's that's overused. They would like to experience what is authentic to St. Lucia. So if we pull our natural, artistic resources together, these are just some of the ways in which we can facilitate the growth of the industry. So all of this is part of the education and awareness, letting people know that they can make a contribution, even if you don't work at a hotel or you don't work, as a taxi driver, etc. But your little contribution can go a long way in the sustained growth of the industry.
And with that, we need to educate our children
as
early as possible that they could
starts
share
from an early age,
in that vision as well.
You teach the young students the basics, you make them understand who a visitor or a tourist is, what it is they come to do to St. Lucia, what it is they like to do. How can you as a primary school student, a secondary school student, how can you play your little role in ensuring that visitors come and they have a unique experience? I mentioned it earlier, you don't litter, you greet visitors with a smile, you provide information, where is this street, where is that street, all of these little things, it plays a big role in the long run in how we are perceived as a tourism destination.
Thank you very much, Ms. Charles. It was a pleasure having you on Let's Talk Education. We hope to have you again soon, especially when your initiative takes off.
Thank you.
I would like to thank you for the information you shared with our viewers today. Viewers, you've been watching Let's Talk Education with our special guest, Ms. Samantha Charles, Tourism Officer in the Ministry of Tourism, Heritage and Creative Industry, responsible for awareness. I've been your host, Patrick Events. Thank you and see you at our next Let's Talk Education.